Why are we here? Humanity's true origins revealed. Catholic mystery. The Bible opens with an image of humanity in paradise, Adam and Eve living in the Garden of Eden in perfect harmony with God. But do we really think the whole story is as simple as that? What if the story of humanity's beginning isn't what the Bible narratived? What if the idea of paradise lost isn't just some poetic metaphor but a deliberate cover-up? Today we're diving deep into the first shocking question. Who, or even what, were the first humans really? In this video, we'll journey into Bible and some of ancient theory to uncover the true origin of humanity. Buckle up, because what you're about to discover will forever change your perspective on humanity, as well as the profound truths in human history. Don't forget to leave comment. Write below this video about what you did not know about our root. Keep questioning, keep searching, and remember, sometimes the answers are closer than they seem. Unbelievable points in Genesis book. Let's talk about the clues lie in Genesis book. It doesn't exactly paint the picture of humans as equal partners with God. It's more like Adam and Eve were placed in paradise on God's terms, with strict instructions. You can eat anything, but not that fruit. It's like putting someone in a cage and saying, "Don't touch the bars." Why set them up like that, if not to test or control them? That's not what you'd expect if humans were created as perfect beings or beloved children. Then comes the snake. This isn't just any snake. It's the serpent, a symbol that has echoed across mythologies long before the Bible was written. In some texts, the serpent represents wisdom, even liberation. So what's it doing in the garden, tempting Adam and Eve to eat from the tree of knowledge? Not the tree of sin, mind you, but the tree of knowledge. Knowledge about good and evil, right and wrong, self and God. The very thing that seems to bring them closer to divinity. Now here's where it gets interesting. The way the story is written, it's as if God didn't want humanity to have this knowledge. Adam and Eve eat the fruit. Their eyes are opened. And what's the first thing God does? He throws them out of the garden. Not because they hurt anyone, not because they lied or stole, but because they gained awareness. Is that paradise? Or is it a cage? And if it's a cage, who's the warden? Then there's the kicker. Humanity is cursed, not just Adam and Eve, but all of humanity is condemned because of one mistake. A single decision to pursue knowledge results in endless suffering for every generation that follows. If you look at it from another angle, it almost sounds manufactured, like humanity was destined to be under control, and this pursuit of knowledge threw a wrench in that plan. That brings us to the biggest question of all. What if Adam and Eve weren't the first humans, but the first rebels? The first to question, to seek out truth instead of blind obedience? In a way, they became symbols for anyone who challenges the boundaries placed around them. But the story we're given makes it sound like they failed, like they were wrong. Yet maybe, just maybe, the fall wasn't a failure. However, this account raises significant questions. If Adam and Eve were the first humans, why do their names and actions appear to function more as symbols than historical realities? Many scholars suggest that Genesis is not a literal account, but a metaphorical narrative that reflects deeper truths about human nature, morality, and our relationship with the divine. The story of Adam and Eve could symbolize humanity's transition from a state of primal innocence to one of self-awareness and moral complexity. What if it was humanity's first step toward freedom? Here's another layer. Some ancient texts hint at the idea that the garden wasn't a paradise but a trial, a testing ground. And maybe, just maybe, humanity was supposed to break free. Maybe we were meant to seek knowledge, to defy, to escape from a controlled paradise. In Gnostic traditions, for example, the serpent isn't seen as a villain, but as a liberator, the one who helps humanity step into their own power, separate from any controlling deity. So, was Eden really a paradise, or was it a cage? Were Adam and Eve victims of a cosmic setup, or were they the first champions of human freedom? And if the fall was actually humanity's first act of defiance, what does that say about the story we've been told for thousands of years? Ever felt like the world around you doesn't add up? Like there's some hidden hand pulling the strings behind the scenes? Well, you're not alone. We're cracking open one of the most controversial theories out there, that the God described in the Old Testament might not be the all-benevolent creator we've been told. And believe me, this is going to change the way you see everything. In Gnostic beliefs, there's a fascinating concept, the Demiurge. It's not your typical creator figure. Think of the Demiurge as more like a cosmic architect, a lesser god who's both flawed and deeply insecure. According to this view, the Demiurge is the one who actually created our material world. And here's the kicker. It's not interested in humanity's freedom or enlightenment. It's interested in power, control, and keeping us in the dark. Now, if that sounds shocking, let's look at the Old Testament with fresh eyes. The God there is often depicted as intense, wrathful, even jealous. He destroys entire cities, floods the earth, and punishes generations. If this were a God solely of love and mercy, why so much punishment? Why so many rules designed to keep humanity in line? It starts to sound less like a nurturing creator and more like a ruler protecting his authority. The Gnostics believed this Demiurge intentionally created a flawed, limited world, a world that would keep us busy, distracted, bound to physical needs, and ignorant of our higher potential. And isn't that exactly how many of us feel today? Constantly chasing survival while deeper truths and greater knowledge slip further and further away. To the Gnostics, this wasn't just some unfortunate situation, it was by design. They even had a term for it, the prison of matter. The Demiurge, they said, trapped souls in physical bodies, chaining them to desires, fears, and the endless cycle of birth and death. Here's where it gets even more radical. The Gnostics claimed that beyond this false creator lies the true divine source, pure, boundless, and absolutely unreachable by the Demiurge. In essence, they saw the God of the Old Testament not as the ultimate creator, but as a middle manager, running his own limited kingdom, jealous and furious if anyone dared to look beyond his authority. Think about the implications of this. If the Gnostics are right, we're living in a world designed to keep us small, obedient, and disconnected from the true divine source. And the creator we've worshipped and feared for thousands of years might actually be working to keep humanity in line, rather than setting us free. A recurring theme in origin stories is the dual nature of humanity, simultaneously divine and earthly, enlightened and ignorant, creators and destroyers. This duality reflects our ongoing struggle to reconcile our higher aspirations with our baser instincts. Were the first humans fully self-aware beings, or were they proto-humans gradually awakening to consciousness? The symbolism of the serpent in the Garden of Eden, for instance, speaks to this tension. The serpent's role as a tempter or liberator raises questions about the nature of knowledge and freedom. Was humanity's expulsion from paradise a fall, or was it the first step toward self-actualization? Similarly, myths of Prometheus, stealing fire from the gods, or the Tower of Babel reaching for the heavens, suggest that the first humans were not passive recipients of divine favor, but active seekers of knowledge, often at great cost. Nephilim. The story gives us clue about human root. This isn't just some ancient theory. The idea of a world created to keep us in chains, mentally, spiritually, and even physically, resonates deeply today. A system built on control, fear, and rules that don't make sense, yet we're just supposed to follow. And the most chilling part? We've been taught to see this as normal, even holy. We've all heard the story of angels and demons, good versus evil, right? But what if I told you there's a hidden chapter in humanity's history, a dark and twisted story about angels who didn't just fall from heaven but left something behind, something in us. Let's talk about the Nephilim, a race often overlooked but potentially key to understanding who or what we really are. In the book of Genesis, there's a strange and often glossed over passage. It talks about the sons of God, celestial beings, angels, who came to earth and had children with human women. The offspring of these unions were giants, not just physically massive, but beings with a mix of divine and human traits. They were called the Nephilim, and their existence was considered a grave threat, so dangerous that God sent a flood to wipe them out. But here's the real kicker. Some say they didn't all die. There's a theory suggesting that the blood of the Nephilim, the so-called fallen ones, didn't vanish in the flood, but mingled with humanity. That means, according to some interpretations, we might carry remnants of this hybrid lineage within us, a mix of human and something else. Think about what that could mean. The blood of angels or fallen beings running through human veins. What does that make us? Are we just the children of Adam and Eve, or do we have a far stranger origin? Now, fast forward to ancient civilizations. Many cultures have myths of giants, semi-divine figures, and beings with incredible power and wisdom who once walked among us. In fact, some of the world's greatest myths hint at humans descended from gods or giants. If the Nephilim were real, could they be the origin of these stories? Were they, in fact, the legendary giants, the demigods, the heroes of myth? Some researchers believe evidence of these beings is all around us. Ancient megalithic structures, impossible architecture, knowledge of astronomy and mathematics that seems centuries, if not millennia, ahead of its time. Some say this knowledge could have come from the Nephilim or their descendants. They may have left a legacy of advanced understanding that humanity is still struggling to fully comprehend. But let's take this further. What if these Nephilim descendants, carrying supernatural knowledge and power, didn't vanish, but instead helped shape the course of human civilization? Could certain bloodlines or groups hold on to this divine heritage even now, passing it down through generations? There are those who argue that our fascination with royal bloodlines and noble ancestry might trace back to these ancient stories. Think about it. An elite lineage with connections to something far beyond ordinary humanity. It's a concept that shows up in history, myth, and even in our modern obsessions. And if this bloodline does exist, it raises a haunting question. What does that make us? Are some of us closer to this ancient legacy than others? Is it possible that the Nephilim's influence still lingers? That the supernatural abilities, wisdom, or even ambition of these giants are alive within certain individuals or groups? And if so, are these powers being used for humanity's benefit? Or could they be part of some hidden agenda? 3 lost cities or human desire to unlock the secrets of the universe. What if some of humanity's greatest achievements weren't just the work of brilliant minds, but influenced by hidden forces, lost cities and forbidden knowledge we were never meant to uncover? You know the names: Babel, Sodom, Atlantis. These weren't just cities, they were symbols of human potential and ambition, places that reached for the stars in ways that almost seem supernatural. Let's start with Babel. The Bible tells us humanity was united, speaking one language, and building a tower that would reach the heavens. But when God saw what they were doing, He shut it down, scattered humanity, and confused their language. Now ask yourself, why? Why was that such a threat? If humans were just primitive beings fumbling around in the dirt, why would a tower matter to a divine being? Some believe Babel wasn't just a tower. It may have been a center of knowledge, a hub where humans were unlocking the secrets of the universe. Advanced technology, perhaps even the ability to tap into energies we can barely understand. When God intervened, it wasn't just about stopping a construction project. It was about restricting access to something humans weren't supposed to touch, forbidden knowledge. And it doesn't stop there. Sodom and Gomorrah. These cities weren't destroyed just for wickedness, as we've been told. Some interpretations suggest they were centers of experimentation, perhaps even places where humanity began to toy with the natural order itself. The Bible speaks of the sins of these cities, but some ancient texts hint that this was more than moral corruption. It might have involved secrets of life itself, knowledge of creation, maybe even genetic manipulation. It's as if these cities held a forbidden science, a pathway to power that threatened to unravel the fabric of what was allowed. And so, they were erased, scorched off the face of the earth as a warning. Then, there's Atlantis. While it isn't mentioned directly in the Bible, consider this. Almost every ancient culture has a legend of a golden civilization that fell. Atlantis, as described by Plato, was an advanced society destroyed by a great flood because of its arrogance and misuse of power. Sound familiar? Atlantis and Babel, two stories of humanity reaching too high, getting too close to godlike knowledge, only to be struck down. Some scholars speculate that Atlantis might not have been a single city but a network of civilizations with shared knowledge. This knowledge left traces in ancient Egypt, Sumeria, and Mesoamerica, civilizations that built structures we still struggle to explain, like the pyramids and Stonehenge, with alignments to stars, solar cycles, and mathematical precision far beyond what was believed possible at the time. Where did they get this knowledge? Who taught them to build in ways that modern science still puzzles over? Some believe remnants of this forbidden knowledge are still around, hidden in secret societies, encoded in symbols and texts, and passed down through elite bloodlines. Consider the obelisks, sacred geometry, and strange symbols scattered across ancient and modern monuments. What if these aren't just relics but clues left behind by those who still carry fragments of that ancient knowledge? The Bible, myths, and legends, they're all pointing to one thing: that somewhere in our past, humanity had access to knowledge so powerful, it challenged the natural order, wisdom that allowed us to transcend, to create, to understand reality on a level most of us can barely imagine. But something, or someone, put an end to it. Ancient Sumeria provides some of the most detailed and intriguing origin stories. They spoke of beings called the Anunnaki. According to Sumerian myth, the Anunnaki came from the heavens to earth seeking one thing: resources, specifically gold, but they didn't want to mine it themselves. This is where humanity comes in. According to Sumerian texts, the Anunnaki created humans as a labor force, genetically modifying existing creatures on Earth, blending their essence with ours to create a new being. Humans were given enough intelligence to follow orders, but were bound by physical limits and mortal constraints to ensure they remained subservient. These early humans weren't granted freedom or autonomy. They were closely controlled, kept in line, and made to serve. The Sumerians described them as the black-headed people, tasked with temple work, harvesting crops, and mining resources. Some researchers point out eerie echoes of this story in the Bible's Genesis account. After Adam and Eve's fall, they were cursed with a life of labor. By the sweat of your brow, you will eat your food. It's almost as if that curse wasn't a punishment, but a reminder of humanity's original purpose, as workers, as servants. And this idea isn't unique to the Sumerians. The Bible hints at it, Egyptian mythology alludes to it, and even Greek myths touch on humanity's role as pawns in the plans of gods. It's as if this recurring theme, that humanity was designed for a purpose we didn't choose, spans across ancient civilizations. Some theorists suggest that traces of this work-based mentality are still embedded in human society today. Think about our systems: labor, hierarchy, obedience to authority. We're raised, trained, and conditioned to work, to serve, to fill roles that often require us to trade personal freedom for survival. And this raises a chilling question: are we just repeating the cycles established by the Anunnaki? Humanity's history isn't a straight line of progress, but a recurring pattern: rises, falls, and resets. Each golden age of civilization, Sumeria, Egypt, Greece, the Maya, reached incredible heights of knowledge and power, only to collapse. Knowledge was scattered, achievements buried, and myths took the place of facts. Scientific insights and cosmic perspective. Are we the first humans? The question of who or what the first humans were has intrigued philosophers, theologians, scientists, and storytellers for millennia. From ancient myths to modern scientific discoveries, humanity has sought to understand its origins, both in a literal and metaphorical sense. While traditional narratives offer a simplified view of our beginnings, the truth, as revealed through interdisciplinary exploration, may be far more complex and mysterious. Were the first humans divine creations, products of evolutionary processes, or something in between? This article delves into the layers of this age-old question, examining theological, scientific, and speculative perspectives to reveal a multifaceted narrative about the origins of humanity. From a scientific perspective, humanity's origins lie in the evolutionary process, a gradual development over millions of years that led to the emergence of Homo sapiens as a distinct species. Fossil records and genetic evidence point to a common ancestor shared with other primates, and the earliest humans likely evolved in Africa approximately 300,000 years ago. The first humans, in this context, were not individuals, but populations of early Homo sapiens. These beings were characterized by larger brain sizes, advanced tool use, and the development of language and culture. Unlike their predecessors, such as Homo erectus or Neanderthals, early Homo sapiens exhibited unique cognitive abilities, including abstract thinking, symbolic representation, and a capacity for cooperation on a large scale. Despite these advancements, the emergence of Homo sapiens raises profound questions. How did these cognitive leaps occur? Could random mutations and natural selection alone account for the extraordinary complexity of human consciousness and culture? Some scientists propose that the rapid expansion of the human brain was driven by environmental pressures, such as climate change or the need for social collaboration. Others suggest that humanity's evolution might have been influenced by factors we don't fully understand, such as epigenetics or even external intervention. Another possibility is that humanity, as we know it, is not the first intelligent species to arise on Earth. Some researchers propose that earlier advanced civilizations may have existed and were wiped out by natural disasters, climate shifts, or self-inflicted destruction. These lost civilizations might explain certain anomalies, such as advanced megalithic structures or unexplained knowledge of astronomy and engineering. If this is true, humanity might be part of a larger cosmic cycle of rise and fall. The first humans, in this sense, were not necessarily the first intelligent beings, but the latest iteration in a long chain of evolution, destruction, and rebirth. This perspective invites us to view humanity's origins not as a singular event, but as part of a much broader, interconnected narrative. Ultimately, the question of who or what the first humans were is not just about origins. It's about identity and purpose. Understanding where we come from shapes how we see ourselves and our place in the universe. If we are divine creations, our purpose may be to seek alignment with a higher power. If we are products of evolution, our goal might be to advance and survive. And if we were engineered or influenced by external forces, we must grapple with the implications of our designed nature. Moreover, this question forces us to confront the limits of our knowledge. Despite centuries of inquiry, we remain uncertain about the full truth of our beginnings. This mystery fuels our curiosity and drives our quest for understanding, whether through science, philosophy, or spirituality. As we pull together the threads of myth, ancient texts, and speculative theories, a profound question remains. Why are we here? Are we the divine image bearers of a benevolent creator, destined to seek truth and enlightenment? Or are we the engineered laborers of cosmic architects, trapped in cycles of servitude and control? The evidence, scattered across history, whispers of a humanity once in possession of unimaginable knowledge that bridged the gap between the earthly and the divine. Yet time and again, this knowledge was taken, hidden, or destroyed, leaving us to wonder, is humanity's history a journey of progress, or a series of resets designed to keep us from reaching our full potential? From the forbidden fruit of Eden to the lost grandeur of Atlantis, humanity's story is one of striving for freedom, wisdom, and divinity, only to be pulled back into the shadows of ignorance and limitation. The legends of Babel, Sodom, and the Nephilim hint at a species constantly reaching beyond the boundaries set for us, yearning to reclaim what was lost. Yet with each attempt, we face consequences that feel eerily intentional, as though an invisible hand enforces limits we were never meant to transcend. If the ancient accounts are more than mere myths, they challenge us to question the systems we live under today. Is the hierarchy of modern society, with its focus on labor and control, an echo of the designs of ancient creators? Are we destined to live in cycles, repeating the same rises and falls without ever truly breaking free? Or is it possible, as some believe, that humanity is now closer than ever to unlocking the mysteries of our origin, crossing the boundary that has held us back for millennia? The answers may lie buried in the myths and ruins of the past, waiting for us to uncover them. What if our greatest challenge isn't to accept the narratives we've been told, but to question them, to seek the forbidden knowledge that once lifted humanity to extraordinary heights? Whether we were created to serve, to strive, or to ascend, one thing is clear: the journey is far from over, and the key to understanding our purpose might just be hidden in the stories we've overlooked for centuries. Perhaps in the end, the search for humanity's true origins is not just a quest for knowledge, it is a quest for freedom. Thank you for watching, for keeping an open mind, and for staying with me to explore this topic until the very end. If you found value in this content, don't forget to hit the subscribe and bell buttons. Thank you for being part of this journey with us, and may we all be inspired to walk toward. See you next time.